We're going to give a quick demo here on how I created this quick mat. We're going to go in here. We're going to switch this over to inches and say we want a canvas that is 24 by 12, and we'll say we want it at 150 pixels per inch, and that we want the background to be transparent. We're going to pick a color, and we'll just pick a blue color, kind of like I did before, and then we're going to fill this layer with it. Then we're going to go up here to filter. We're going to say texture and go into the texturizer. And as you can see, I already had this from last time. I went in here to texturizer. I selected sandstone, and you can select whatever scaling you want here. 100% is good, and this is the depth, and this is just how I kind of gave it a little bit of a texture like it was a mat. I'm going to go ahead and say OK. Okay, so now we're going to set some guides to make it easy to cut out the 5x7s. Since we have 12 inches tall and we know that the images are 7, that leaves us 5 inches. Cut that in half, it's 2.5. So we need to put our first one here at 2.5 inches and the other one at 9.5 inches. Okay, now doing the other way, we know that we have 24 inches across. 5 inches times 3 pictures is 15 inches, which leaves 9 inches for border. We want to maintain the same 2.5 inches on either side, so that leaves us 5. So 9 minus 5 gives us 4 inches, which means there'll be 2 inches between each 5x7. So we're going to come over here and we're going to set this first one at 2.5. And then we're going to come over here and set this other one in 2.5 inches. Then what we want to do is move over. We want to add 5 to 2.5. That takes us to 7.5. And we want to skip 2 inches. So that takes us to 9.5. Then we want to add 5 again, which takes us to 14.5. I want to skip 2 inches, which takes us to 16.5. And there we go. Now we have 3 centered 5x7s with a nice 2.5 inch margin, border, mat, whatever you'd like to call it, all the way around the edge. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is come over here to the layers palette, and we need to add a new layer. And we're going to call this the photo layer. And we actually want this to be underneath. So we're going to come over here. And now we can go ahead and clear out. Oops. We want to select layer 1. Select this region. And I'm just going to hit the delete key on my keyboard to clear out these mats like this. You see that that's very easy to do. And now we have the beginning of our mat opening. Okay, so the next thing I did is I went over here and I said edit stroke. And we're going to go ahead and stroke with kind of a lightish gray color. And we're going to say we want a 10 pixel, and you might need to adjust this. You could also just say we want, let's say, a 1/4 inch inside stroke. And it's important to say inside in this case, so it looks more like a mat. And you notice that it added the stroke right inside there. Now we're just going to go back over here, and we're going to do the same exact thing again. We're going to say edit stroke. And then we're going to say edit stroke. All right. Then, for a little extra depth, what we can do is we can go in here and we can say edit stroke again. And now, for the color, we can pick just a slightly darker color, maybe even a little bit darker than that, and say that we want to add like a maybe a 5 pixel stroke. That adds just a little bit of a highlight. You can't even barely see it, but I'm going to go ahead and stroke the rest of these the same way. And it's important that you do the other one first because this is a smaller stroke, and if you did this one first, the bigger stroke would have just cleared this out of the way. But now if we zoom in, you can see that what we have is just a little bit of an inset border here. Now you could go ahead and continue doing this to add a little bit more of a 3D effect. You could even come in and draw some diagonals here and stroke these in with the polygonal lasso tool. You could come in here and you could actually select this if you wanted to. And I won't do the whole thing, but just to give you an example, you could come in here and you could select this side. You could come in and say image adjustments, hue saturation, and you could actually darken this up a little bit to give it even more of a 3D effect, depending on how much time you wanted to spend on this. Okay, now at this point we probably don't need the guides anymore, so you can either delete the guides or you can just go up here and say show guides and turn those off so you don't need them anymore. Now, what you want to do is select the photo layer, because what happens is when you drag photos from another document is that Photoshop will place it above the selected layer. So we want to put it here and make sure we selected the photo layer. Now I'm just going to go over here and say File, Open. I'm going to open an image. And now what I do is I just click over here on the background layer, drag with my mouse, and let go of it in the other document. And you'll notice that it placed it behind the matte layer. And you notice I have Show Transform Controls selected while I have the Move tool selected. And then what that does is put these transformation controls on all of the layers that you select. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the Shift key down now, and I'm going to go ahead and adjust the size of this image until it fits comfortably within the crop of the 5x7 that I want. And once I have that where I want it and positioned, I can either click up here on the check mark or hit the Enter key on the keyboard, and that applies that transformation. And now you can continue doing that. If this was another new image that was also loaded, or if you had Adobe Bridge opened and you dragged an image in, you just drag on the background layer again, Photoshop places it, click somewhere where you can see the image to reposition it, hold down Shift to apply a proportional transform, position the image wherever you want, and then click the check mark and you can continue on. And once you have all three of your images positioned, all you have to do is save the document as a JPEG and you're on your way.